Hi everyone, it's Kirsty from Lifting Consciousness here. I hope you're doing really well wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me in this podcast discussion today. It's just a bite-sized podcast to give some insight into some topics that I'm going to be discussing with my dear friend Amy from Rainbow Healing Services. So I will introduce Amy to you and then we'll jump right in. Amy will be known as Amos throughout the podcast because we are dear friends. So just to stand in my truth with that one. So Amy, take it away. Tell the collective about what you do.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Kirstos, because also I can't call you Kirsty because that feels weird. From Rainbow Healing Services. So I'm a Reiki practitioner and teacher. So I offer Reiki healing both in person and at a distance, teaching, a bit of crystal healing, and also intuitive readings to help people on their path when they need a bit of guidance. So thank you very much for welcoming me today.
Fabulous. No, thanks for joining me. And I know we've done podcasts on other things. We've done book clubs, which hopefully we can reignite at some point to do kind of shorter or compact ones. But because we are both spiritual and, we both practice spirituality, these are sort of questions that we're posing and have been posed to us that offer that sort of insight into deep subjects, I guess, that can be discussed at length, but we will... Yes. We will keep it to our time today just to give an insight. So thank you for stopping by, finding this video and watching it. Please comment below, like, share and subscribe as you feel guided to do, because it's all about spreading the messages out there into the collective. So today's topic, it's a question really. So I'm going to pose this to you, Amos. Is it okay to be considered an option? Now, this can be on general terms, but there's specific relevance here to romantic situations and connections. Is it okay to be considered an option? So looking at how you feel with that, and again, it can be general or love. And we'll just see where we go from there.
Well, that actually, as you said, the question, that sparked a little bit of emotion within me, because it reminded me of a conversation that I'd had with someone very dear to me quite some time ago. And we were talking about somebody that I was quite close to at that time, who essentially was just being considered as one of many options in somebody's romantic repertoire. And he said to me, never do that. Never make somebody your only option when all you are to them is a choice. And it really stuck, because I thought it's all about self-worth and self-love, isn't it? And if we don't value ourselves enough, that's the trap that we can fall into by thinking, that's someone I'd really like to be with. But on the other side of it, there's an imbalance, because to that person, they're just seeing you as one of many options that could potentially be on the table for them.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And it's extremely interesting, and it resonates with me a lot as well, because I felt like I'm just an option in certain situations before. And it's not particularly a nice feeling, is it? Because I guess looking at it from, if we were to take a job scenario, you're an option, you've been shortlisted. So there's you and there's others. That's great, because you're in the running for something. Okay. Yeah. So at it from that point of view, it's like, fantastic. There's an opportunity here. I'm considered an option in that respect, because obviously my skills and everything they're looking for. You need to go through the interview process and all of that. So you get that. So it's not a guarantee, but you are an option that's being considered. Brilliant. But when you look at it from a relationship point of view, matters of the heart, there seems to be a different connotation to it. Certainly where I'm coming from, and obviously how you feel in past experiences and situations and stuff. So when you think of, somebody who, I guess I'll just show this really.
Yeah, that illustrates it very well.
Now, not that we're biased, because obviously we're females and there is a man on this card. So we're not staying biased, because I'm sure there's men out there. I'm sure there's people in same-sex connections and relationships that experience the same thing. So when we talk about divine masculine and divine feminine as such, we've got those qualities within us, and it's the energy of that people embody. So just to put that out there really, because it is a collective of color in that sense. We're all unique. But certainly, in that card, it makes me think, right, and I always see caution when I look at that card, because there's certain things under certain cups. It's like, don't really know what I'm picking. There's a bit of confusion.
Yeah.
But surely, and this is where it goes a bit deeper, the heart knows how the heart feels about somebody, or how the soul feels about somebody. So what makes it okay to then put somebody as an option? Because for me, that's almost encouraging and supporting third-party energy.
Yes. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because what came up for me instantly when you said that was people, and we're not going to say it's just men, because women are the same, as you say. It's, you know, it can be anybody. It's the ego, isn't it? A lot of people can become entrenched in that ego mindset, and sort of think, oh, well, I've got all of these options here and I'm not listening to my heart. I'm totally in my head, thinking about all these people that find me attractive, and I've got all these choices, and the ego can be like the little devil on your shoulder, can't it, kind of thing. And you're not listening to the heart's message. You're not listening to where your heart and soul's telling you to go.
Yes.
You're listening too much to the ego.
to the ego, to the monkey mind, as some people often refer to it as. And again, there could be a lot of reasons for that, fears from the past, or it could just be that sort of I don't know, the egotistical. When it goes to the extreme, it can be egotistical, can't it?
Yeah.
But do you think also it can relate to other people's perceptions? So, you know, the person that has all the options in front of them, that's making you an option, are they worried about what other people are going to say if they go with their heart and they choose that person? Are they too worried about how it's going to look to other people? You know, that's what it's me.
Yeah. And I think, again, that ties in with the ego, because if they are entrenched in that kind of mindset in that way, that's exactly how they're thinking, isn't it? They're not thinking about what they truly want. They're thinking about how people around them will perceive things.
Yeah.
And almost kind of like the trophy person, the trophy partner, rather than the partner that would align most with them and their values.
Yeah, and who they may even kind of profess to wanting in terms of qualities of a partner. So yeah, that is where the ego, I guess, steps in and overrules things, or can overrule things. There was another question that popped into my mind. Do you think that beauty is in the eye of the beholder?
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? Beauty in itself is an interesting concept, isn't it? Because we're taught, aren't we, to think that beauty is about someone's external attractiveness. We're not taught to recognize people's inner beauty. And again, as a society, you know, we're talking about, again, those people that are kind of within that sort of much more ego state. And they're kind of thinking of beauty in terms of what they can see on the surface. They're not going deeper. And actually, sometimes to go deeper is more frightening, isn't it, in itself? Because if you're getting to the very core of someone's heart and soul and finding out what makes them tick and things that have happened to them in their past, and really, really connecting with that person, that's far more scary, isn't it? To get to someone's true inner beauty than what's on the surface.
Yeah, it is. And I guess that does sort of affirm that whole sort of, you know, maybe putting those energetic walls up, because that deeper, more intense option, if you like to use the option thing, there's too much work involved to actually get to go and investigate further. Even if it's deep down what the person wants, it's blocking things because of fear and pain.
Yeah.
But in doing so, actually involving themselves in more of a repeating pattern. So they get through the work eventually. And I always think, and I've seen loads of posts about it in terms of self-love, self-care, looks fade.
Of course they do. Yeah.
You know,
you're not left with that, are you? You know, and if you've built a relationship based on that in your youth, because someone's very externally attractive, you've not got a lot left when you get to it, and you know, you want to have a conversation round the fire in your formative years, have you? You've not got much to talk about, really.
No, exactly. No. I think if there's, for me, and I'm sure you feel the same because of how we view certain things. The kind of the depth of discussions and actually to really go into things is so important in a connection, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's with friends as well as others around you.
Absolutely.
Which is why we always end up having like an hour catch up that takes 6 hours, because we just, once we start, don't we?
We can't stop. And I think
can't.
that's the thing, we never recognize the time, do we? I mean, time is an illusion anyway, but we never, it's like, oh my goodness, where's all that time gone?
Yeah, exactly. And that, in a way, when you think of a romantic partner, is exactly what you almost want, because, and this is speaking from my point of view, there might be people out there that don't agree, but you want to be able to share that time with someone that you can have that connection with, where you're not focused on time. It's all, you're too wrapped up in the present moment. To some kindred spirits almost, isn't it?
That really resonates with something that came to mind then, without going into too much depth about it. A date that had started at 6:30 and ended at 1:30 in the morning, with no awareness that that amount of time had passed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But that's everything, isn't it? That's that's a perfect example, because and I'll say, because I've had phone calls with friends, as that was meant to be a 5-10 minute thing, but because the conversation is there and the depth of discussion in terms of those values, and just a relaxed vibe, it was able to go on for, and that's so funny because my camera froze down. I don't know if yours
it did. It froze a little bit. Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting. Apologies to the audience if that kind of glitched a bit there, but that could be
that in itself subliminal message.
Definitely. But it's basically about, I didn't even need to look at the clock. I knew I needed to make my tea. But again, are we confined to time if I have to have my tea at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever it is? We're in the flow of a conversation here, and I'm actually enjoying it because it is that reciprocity, isn't it? Okay. So, okay, here's another question for you. If somebody is considering you as an option in a romantic capacity, they've got another choice or another two choices if they are, some kind of stud, whatever.
Adonis.
Should we actually, and using that Adonis, that makes me think of then the goddess, because it's almost like, should we, and again, this is for, we're talking about males in a connection because we're females. Shouldn't we embody that kind of goddess energy and be like, well, you're considering me as an option, I'll make the choice easy for you. I'm no longer an option because I know my worth. It kind of goes back to what you were saying before about that self-worth and self-love.
Yeah.
But does it make that person less attractive? And I don't mean does it make you kind of think, all right, you're considering me as an option, so that surprised me because I thought there was that soul connection there. But actually what you're showing to me is something that doesn't align with how I feel. And it almost makes you then think, well, do I really want to be involved with someone like you?
No, it's an energetic repulsion, isn't it, in fact? And I think, again, that's part of I don't want to say a lesson, but from both parties. So the person who said, look, I'm taking myself away as an option, they're saying, I'm respecting myself and I'm walking away from this situation. And that's not to say that you might not be able to revisit it down the line when the other person has kind of learned what they need to learn, and they've kind of almost rectified it by saying, oh, well, I acted like this or I acted like that, and etc. etc. But it's recognizing that we've got those things that we need to learn, isn't it? Absolutely, as we've all got things that we need to learn and take on board. So
for sure. And I guess it's about not wanting to put your life on hold whilst you wait for that person to learn what they need to learn. And of course, when they make a reappearance down the line, because I'm talking about these strong soul connections that obviously where there's that kind of separation involved, walk away for your highest good, because it's like, no, I'm not accepting that. I'm not going to be an option. I'm worth more than that. And then when that person comes back, you've then got the free will, because we just did a podcast discussion check it out, everybody, on Free Will and Divine Timing. You know, we would have the free will to then decide, do I actually want to get involved? Because that kind of hurt me in the past.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that might have actually been a wound that needed to be opened and triggered. I get it, you know, because we're all on our own journey as well.
Yeah.
But actually it's then knowing, well, because of that experience, I'm stronger and I'm more resilient. Do I actually want to consider you now? Because you wouldn't consider me back then.
It could have changed. The tables could have turned by that point. Yeah, exactly.
And I guess that shows growth. And it, of course, it can show growth from the other person's point of view, because they have to learn those lessons just like we learn our lessons. And the frustrating thing is we can't kind of control that.
No.
No, but I don't know if there's anything else, you know, you feel kind of drawn or guided to say in terms of this whole thing, because it's predominantly about relationships, because as I say, to be considered as an option for a job is great. But it doesn't feel the same in a love situation.
No, it doesn't. Although I when you said that initially, I was thinking, oh, I know of a situation where, you know, a lady I know, she's been told that she's been the second choice on so many occasions, and it's like, that's you almost don't want to hear that, do you? But it doesn't sting. You're right. The sting isn't quite the same as if it's, because it's not the same pull of the heart, is it? Obviously, you know, the romantic connection is all about your heart and your soul, and much as a job can be about a soul choice as well, it's not quite the same thing. Well, it certainly isn't from my perspective anyway. So
no, agreed with that. So that is certainly you know, and we know Seven of Cups in tarot kind of does depict that in terms of the choices, and it is emotion based because it's cups, so it's water energy, so it is very emotions and feelings. So if any of you out there are resonating with this, there's just that message certainly from me to say, kind of stand strong in yourself and recognize that you are worthy of love. There is that whole thing of being open and receptive to love as well, of course, to make sure that you're not closing your heart off to opportunities. But I say opportunities, I don't mean options, but I think we all have options to a certain extent. The nitty gritty, I guess, what I'm getting into with this question is when, you know, you are connected to somebody at soul level, there are feelings there, but that person is almost making you feel like an option, or they are literally saying, I have a choice between you, someone else, maybe someone else, going to do, and it's that kind of thing. So hopefully I'm sort of making sense in terms of where I'm coming from with it, but just know that you're worthy of love. And divine timing is, of course, at play in all of this, as well as free will. As I said, we've just done a podcast discussion on that, so check it out on the channel. And finally, just to say, so Amos, where can people find you if they want to reach out for Reiki readings or crystal healings or anything like that?
Wonderful, thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me on today for this discussion. I've really enjoyed it. So I've got a Facebook page, Rainbow Healing Services, also on Instagram at Rainbow Healing Services, and my website, which is rainbowhealingservices.com. Thank you very much.
Fabulous. And I know I showed it on the other podcast, but I've got a rainbow here. So Amos is available to spread the joy and the colour of the rainbow throughout the collective. And if you can like, share and subscribe this video, it just helps grow the channel, but get the message out there to more people, because there might be some people that need to see this and they need to hear this message. It's very important, especially at the moment where there is a lot of confusion around things. There is, in the context of soul connections, a lot of separation that is out of our control because of the global pandemic, you know, so it is quite timely, I think, to talk about these. And obviously there's many different factors involved in soul connections, and I'm sure we'll talk again on another podcast session. So if there's anything that you'd like us to talk about, or something that you're curious to know more of our insights on, then comment below, and that will help us as well, because we'll see then that there is this kind of appetite for it. I will just refer, just finally, it was something I was going to say in the last podcast, completely forgot, but I think it might be relevant here as well, Amos. So I've seen this this video that Brandon Tobias from Science of the Soul and Stars, or Stars and Soul, can't remember if it's that way around, I think it's Soul and Stars. He did this really great live channel session, and he said something that I had to write down because it felt very appropriate. Every choice from every soul makes a tremendous impact of change.
Doesn't it ever?
So in terms of the choice that a person can make in this 3D reality, which they're entitled to make, has a tremendous impact of change. And I think in the context of what we're saying about options, the person decides to go with another option for this moment in time, that's going to make a tremendous impact of change, not only on the person that was also considered to be an option, because they're going to be in their power of their self-worth, but also they're going to then find that they're going to have to go through healing because they might have made a choice that's not aligned with them.
Yes.
So it's not a wrong choice as such, but
No.
it's a choice maybe not in alignment with them. So I don't know if that, I just felt called to say that. I don't know if that kind of brings anything up, Amos.
Well, in fact, all I could see and visualize, which was lovely, was just a load of twinkly stars all around when you said it. It really sort of, you know, sent shivers down your spine. It was lovely, I thought, and it's drawn things to a close perfectly, hasn't it? Because, you know, what better way of saying it, really?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So stay strong, everybody, and we're sending you love, light and blessings from our heart and soul to yours. And just reach out and get in touch if you want to know any more about our services, as Amy said, from Rainbow Healing Services, but also my details can be found in the description box below as well. But if you could share it, that really helps. And I thank you so much for your support. Until the next time, God bless everybody.
Thank you.